What's up, guys? It's Motos with Matt, bringing you a new video today on what I look for as a sales manager in regards to trade value. You're looking to get a new motorcycle, you don't know exactly what to do with your trade or where to start. You got a bike, you want to trade it in or sell it, and you want to kind of have an idea of what you could expect in regards to trade value. So these are the 4 things that I look for that impact trade value the most. Obviously, I'm different from everyone else, so depending on where you're at or who you're working with, they might have a totally different opinion in regards to this. So I'll just start off based on what I'm feeling and what I do. So the number one thing that I look for is mileage. Mileage is a huge factor in regards to trade value. So the big thing, some people buy motorcycles and they don't ride them, and you have a few thousand miles on them after a few years, and it's not that, not that much. The number to look out for is 20,000 miles. That right there is kind of the equivalent of 100,000 miles in the automobile world. 20,000 miles on a bike, you're going to take a big hit in value, and that's just the way it is. And the reason it's like that is because there's so many motorcycles out in the world, and there's so many people that don't ride them, but just thought it was a good idea to buy them, and they just don't ride them as much as a lot of other people. That I can find the equivalent bike with a lot less miles for the same amount of money. And it impacts value because when somebody goes to purchase that bike, they're not willing to spend the same amount of money that they could buy that bike for that has 5,000 miles. They're going to go that route all day, every day. So it absolutely impacts value. Mileage is a big thing. Number 2, has the bike been down? Critical factors, obviously. When you go to look at a motorcycle and you're going to buy a used bike, you don't want to buy a bike that's been wrecked. And it's as simple as that. So what I look for, whether or not a bike's been down, there's tall tale signs. There's scuffs on the mirrors, scuffs on the turn signals, scuffs on the fenders, scuffs all over the pegs or footboards. Those ones are big factors. Obviously, you can replace all that stuff and no one would have any idea whether or not the bike had been down or not. But when it comes to trade value, that's okay. You can, when you're buying a used motorcycle, you are taking somewhat of a risk in regards to it, but you're also saving a ton of money versus buying a new bike, so that's all right. Number 3 is overall condition. Aside from the bike being down, what does it look like? Is it are the tires shredded and they need to be replaced? Do the brakes need to be replaced? Do the fork seals need to be replaced? In Tucson, the roads are so terrible. We get a ton of fork seal leaks. And to take off the front forks and do a fork seal leak, it's a pretty big job at the dealership or in general, and it costs money. So if your bike needs tires or if it needs brakes, those are all critical factors in what a dealership needs to do to the motorcycle to make it safe and able to sell at a dealer to put their name behind it type stuff. So if you're selling a bike on Craigslist, it's no big deal, but as a trade-in, it's absolutely going to make a difference in trade value. Tires, brakes, if it's a sport bike or it's chain drive, you're looking at chain and sprocket, fork seals, everything else as far as wearable items and stuff like that go, and then overall condition as far as what the bike looks like. If it's been beat up or the paint's just really scuffed, some people use paint bags and stuff like that, and it just wears the heck out of the paint. So if the paint looks terrible, that's going to be a tough sell too. So that'll absolutely affect trade value also. And number 4 is going to be relative to where you are. So it's going to be market value. So if you have a bike that you're about to trade in that's just a hot seller, and it's an incredible bike and people are looking for them and there's just not a lot of them out there on the market, obviously you're going to be able to get a little bit more money in trade value versus a bike that there's a dozen of them on the market in your market, in the same town or something like that, to where you have to be able to price it aggressively in order to get sales out of it, because if there's 11 other ones or 12 other ones on the market and they're all priced a certain way, that means they're probably priced too high and they're not moving, or else they wouldn't be on the market. So market value is different. If it's in the wintertime here in Tucson, it's great. People are riding motorcycles, but if you're in Minnesota or Michigan or something and you know, it's winter time, chances are you getting top value for that motorcycle is probably pretty small, because there's a heck of a lot less people looking for motorcycles at that point. So it's absolutely going to change the dynamics of trade value with market value. So in the summertime, when it's really hot out here in Arizona, it's a little different, you know. And then if there's a bunch of them on the market, that's something that most dealerships will take into account, because they can't just have the bike sitting there forever. They got to be able to move them. So trade values, try to walk in open-minded. You're obviously trading it in, so the dealership point of view is they need to make some sort of money on it. Now, there's a big difference between making thousands on your bike or making, you know, hundreds on your bike. So do some homework. Try to do some homework as far as trade values and stuff go. You know, some dealerships I know, they don't try to give you fair offers. They're going to beat you up over it, and if you want the new bike, then you'll do it, and if you don't, then you don't have to. So you can just wait. On the flip side, if you try to sell it private party, you might be able to get a little bit more money for it, because most people aren't trying to turn it for a profit like a dealership. But on the flip side is you lose out on the tax credit. So when you trade your bike in, let's say your bike's worth 10 grand, you know, your taxes are 9%. So, you know, that's $900 in trade value. So by getting the tax credit and you get a $10,000 trade value, then you're really getting $10,900. So a lot of people are saying, well, man, I got to have 11 for that bike. 10's just too low. Well, with the tax credit, I mean, you're $100 off. That's really close. And that might make all the sense in the world in regards to trading your bike in. So all states are different, you know, but here in Arizona, you get a tax break for whatever. You don't pay tax on the new motorcycle of what your trade's worth. So 10 grand, I use 10 grand because it's easier to do the math and stuff like that, but try to figure out what the tax percentage is, and then you'll be able to kind of figure out exactly the true value of what your motorcycle's worth. So those are the 4 things that I take into consideration in regards to trade value. They're really important. So if you're watching this, absolutely kind of go through your motorcycle and make sure and it has all your wearable items and stuff like that, like tires and brakes and clutch, and everything's in good condition. Mileage, there's really nothing you can do about it. If you rode it and you're over 20K, you enjoyed it. And so take that into consideration in regards to trade value. Obviously, overall condition, there's certain things you can replace or fix before you trade it in. That way they don't have to worry about it, and they're not going to, you know, kick you as far as trade value goes. And then market value, you know, if it's a hot bike that you're looking and you want it and you just have to trade it and you're ready, then do it. If it's not, and there's a certain part of the year that's a little bit better, maybe it just makes sense to wait. So feel free to comment if you guys have any questions. Throw me some questions. I'll get you guys some answers. And then subscribe to the video. I'm finally making content again. I'm ready. I've had some things go on in my life that I had to put a stop to it, but I'm gonna come out with a lot more content here. So throw me some questions, and then thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.